Well, all right, folks. That time of the week again. It's Thursday. Happens every week, right?
Thursdays happen every week?
Yeah, Thursdays do happen every week.
Thursdays
but
happen.
it is not every Thursday that we get to sit down and watch one of the worst.
The worst.
Yeah, not one of the worst. It is the worst. This one takes the cake.
The worst.
Yeah, the worst
I ain't
beef.
seen the worst in a while. And It
Yeah.
was the worst.
The absolute worst movie I've ever seen. I actually went into this movie thinking, okay, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad, but I have to suffer through it. And halfway through, literally, I was like, wow, can we just turn it off? I've seen enough. Obviously, I'm talking about the one, the only, The Room, written and directed by Tommy Wiseau.
And produced.
And produced.
Yeah.
And starring.
And starring.
Starring. He wrote, directed, produced, and starred in the leading role. Wow.
You put two, what was it, two of the, was it Wiseau Productions? Right
Yeah,
there at the
two
beginning?
title cards.
Title cards,
Like-
that's what it was.
yeah.
Wiseau Company production of
Yeah.
a Wiseau film, something like that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but literally, like I said, I was pretty done with the movie. Like, I wanted to watch it because, like, I've seen The Disaster Artist, and I know some of the key scenes and stuff like that. But really, I felt like I could have just turned the movie off and been totally fine with it. Like, that was an hour and 43 minutes of my life that I'm never going to get back.
I completely agree.
What was
Yeah.
the point where you're like, I'm kind of done with this?
Honestly, it was probably way long before halfway through. This movie plays out like a 1990s Showtime softcore porn movie.
Dude,
Like in the
it
first,
does.
10, 15 minutes of the movie?
Not even that. It's
yeah.
like 8 minutes.
Yeah, 8 minutes into the movie, there's 3 separate sex scenes.
Well, it's actually 2, and one of them's repurposed from the first one.
Well, yeah, it's
Is that like legit? Is that really actually? So it was repurposed?
Just repurposed.
yeah, they
footage.
recut it in certain scenes. It was fucking terrible. Fucking terrible. For a movie to have that much hype, like, the only thing I can say about the movie was that it was so bad it was good.
Yeah.
But it's fucking horrible.
So for me,
Yeah.
I watch it. You kind of slog through the like really really dry but equally bad scenes
Right.
to get to those key scenes.
To get to that gold.
What is going on with
I
that?
don't know. It'll cut out to a black screen and then go back to a.
I don't know. We'll roll with it. It's all good.
So yeah, so it's like the doggy scene, which is pretty early on.
The
And
hot doggy.
Yeah,
That one,
the
yeah.
flower shop,
Right.
and then
Yeah, you even said
the
like that.
rooftop scene.
You said that was like your favorite scene
Oh yeah,
of any movie ever.
yeah.
It was a pretty quick scene too. I was
There's
surprised.
just so much to pick apart. I'm telling you, if you ever get to the point where you watch this movie more than once, or go back, to just soak it in more of the chaos, the craziness.
Right.
There's so much in that scene to just pick apart that I love it. I can watch it so many, like just that scene over and over and over.
The flower shop scene.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
it's just
See, the way that the.
I think we've got
numbers
too
are
many.
set up.
I think we've got too many cameras set up. I think
Yeah.
is what it is.
Well, it's when you cut from him to me, that control's not there. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, you guys talk amongst
technical
yourselves. I'll fix
difficulties.
that.
Sorry. The flower shop scene is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
So for you, Dusty B,
Yes.
did you enjoy it? Did you hate it?
I mean, I enjoyed it just because it was so bad. The scene that got me, like you asked, like, hey, what was the scene? What was the point in the movie?
Yeah, where you're like, God.
We talked about it. Dude, had to been the tuxedo scene where it made no absolute sense of like why they're in tuxedos.
Both of you guys were like, so they just got married.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
we thought
had
they
to
just
be
got
like,
married, or they're getting ready to get married.
Yeah. And I was like, actually, no.
Yeah.
This scene has not, like, the suits. He said in an interview, or it might have been,
There you go.
it was definitely an interview at some point where he was just like, No, the tuxedos, because you can play ball in any occasion, whether it be, standing in an alley on a rooftop,
So that's how he recovered
in
with
a
that.
park, in tuxedos. You don't need a reason to play football.
Aside from that scene, there was a lot
Of out of order scenes.
not really out of order scenes, just scenes that didn't make any fucking sense.
I just think he had them all
Oh.
chopped up.
Yeah, no, I keep dropping the F-bomb. I'm sorry. A lot of scenes that didn't make any freaking sense. Like a lot of them.
I just think he had it chopped up, and then when he went to go to edit and piece it together, he was either drunk or he was just like, whatever, we're just throwing this together.
The only thing I can think of
That's the only
that
I
made
can think of.
any sense was like they were doing wedding photos before the wedding, but who in the world does that? Nobody does that. They always do wedding photos the day of a wedding,
Right.
Hmm.
you know?
Or maybe like announcements.
I thought
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
like trying on tuxes, like they're renting them, and they're like, hey, everybody, try them on, we'll come
Yeah,
over
but-
and hang out.
But who rents a tux a month in advance?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I don't know.
I
Well, you
don't
say
know.
a month in advance, but there's no discernible way to tell time in this movie.
No, there's
Oh, no.
not. Because, like, we've been together for 5 years at the beginning. Well, we've been together for 7 years. It's
I
like,
devoted 8 years of my life to you.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, what? Their timeline in this movie is just awful.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the people said that the timeline.
I
is
think
just so
you're
bad.
right that it was like cutting room floor. He was just sitting there with all the footage
Yeah,
and was just like, where am I going to use this and where am I going to use that?
yeah. To me, that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
And then once everything was pieced together, well, like to me, it just seems like he also dubbed over his voice in a lot of scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's just like blah 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 blah. And like his voice seems louder than what it would to come out of his mouth, just the way his mouth moved. It just
Yeah.
that's what it seemed like. To
Well,
me.
he is a bit of an odd, like an
Can't talk.
enigma. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
He's a question wrapped inside an enigma.
yeah.
Yeah.
he's an odd dude.
How did you guys follow the story? Did you?
Now, I understand. Okay, it starts out, obviously, introductions. Yeah, I mean, there's really no fucking... Sorry, I keep dropping the F-bomb. There's really no story to follow other than character introductions.
Tommy's with Lisa.
Yeah, everybody knows that Tommy's with Lisa. Or Johnny.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny. That's his name in the movie.
Mark is Tommy's best friend.
Yeah.
Or
Johnny's best
Gosh,
friend.
Yeah. Tommy and Johnny just kind of like
I
a
know,
weird.
interchangeable.
Yeah.
You've got the weird kid that...
Denny. Yeah.
Denny, you don't know if he's retarded or just young and dumb.
Right.
Which he looks like he's being played by like a 28-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, so you
He said he was 18.
yeah, he
didn't
said he was 18
Yeah.
and Tommy or Johnny was paying for his apartment until he graduated high school. It's super confusing. It's all over the place.
Why did you buy drugs?
Yeah.
Oh,
That
The
whole
whole
scene.
scene, man.
that-
Chris R. scene is probably it's up there too.
Chris R.
that is a really good scene because I think out of anybody out of the entire movie, that guy
brings his A
he
game.
brings his A game and really puts on a good performance.
So I can tell you a little bit about that. So that guy was actually like an Olympian. He was at least he tried out to be an Olympic athlete, or he had actually gone to the Olympics.
Olympics how? Like what sport do you know?
No, I don't
Okay.
know. So when they hired him to be in the movie to play Chris R, and he showed up on set, he knew his lines. He was only given his scene. That's all he was ever given. So he had to craft the movie for himself. I'm like, he had to, create a story, give himself inspiration.
Yeah.
He had no clue if this movie was just chock full of drug dealers. If Denny was like the main character,
if he had to stand out as a drug dealer.
or right. I mean, like he's
Yeah.
like, for all he knew, this movie was Gangster's Paradise, just set in San Francisco.
For all he knew, this was a major Hollywood movie.
Yeah, that's all he was really given.
Yeah.
So yeah, when he showed up on set, he was like a guy that they just hired, and he showed up and he did what he did. Now in the Disaster Artist, they show you he does it in an alley.
Yeah.
That's the way
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
originally filmed, was in an alley. It was later
With
on.
Zac Efron.
Yeah, Zac Efron was him.
Which
Chris
dude,
R.
he played it great.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
that scene when they played it,
And
you
my
were
boy-
you were dying.
Oh, I
dude.
know.
Like I was like, I don't get this. Why is it so funny? Now I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Because that whole scene was just like, really? Like you said, he brought it.
Yeah,
And Zac
just
Efron,
intense
he did a
and-
really good job of
And
bringing that same
the stories from the
Keeping
set.
that intensity
that
at the
energy.
same level
Yeah,
He
that
brought
he
it to a
kept it in the
whole
original. Yeah. Nada. level.
Yeah. So yeah, that guy was like, he took it very, very seriously. When he showed up on set, he was like, I got to get in character. Everybody leave. He didn't know that these people were just.
So did they have to do that scene twice?
Yeah.
So it was in the alley, and then they changed it to the rooftop.
He had already left, was moved on with his life, because I think this movie took like 6 months to make or something like that. And so he was like, just to kind of living his life. And Tommy had Greg Sestero call him and be like, "You need to come back because we're going to shoot this on the roof. It's going to be so much more dramatic." The alley scene where you see them playing tossing ball,
Yeah,
that was the alley
alley.
that he had originally done the scene.
Where the guy fell into the garbage cans. Like,
Yeah,
do
for-
we need to take him to the hospital?
Yeah.
Like he barely fell into it.
This football to the gut just put him out,
Yeah.
man.
And he was like,
And like
He was
"I'll
dying.
be okay."
that dude was a little overdramatic.
Oh, yeah.
Like the faces, the scene where him and his girlfriend were sharing chocolate. It's like, what?
That guy, he overacted
On like
in like the worst way
Bugs
you
Bunny
could.
level
Yeah.
overacting.
Like a
yeah.
high
Yeah.
school like acting class, pretty much.
Like you said, he crossed his eyes before he even got a blowjob,
yeah.
and that was just that
Yeah.
that scene was like.
Then
really?
he had chocolate in his mouth. So
Yeah.
that just made it even weirder. It's like he was like,
And then you see him eat cake later on, and he's like,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's up with that dude eating stuff?
He should have played Denny.
"Yeah,
He'd have
a
been
good
better. You'd at least known if he was like supposed to be retarded or not.
Daddy." Yeah,
Is that PC? Can I say retarded?
I think so.
You could be
Mentally challenged,
Yeah,
socially awkward. No.
but the Chris R scene is one of my favorites. Yeah, they brought him back, and like
What does R stand for?
nothing.
Like it
It's
even
gangster.
Chris
it even
Room.
say Chris R in
Chris
like
Room.
the credits.
Yeah,
Chris Room. Yeah.
Yeah.
he asked, and Johnny was like, "It's gangster."
Chris R's gangster.
Yeah,
So I guess Dusty B's pretty gangster.
yeah, that's
then,
pretty
right?
Yeah.
gangster.
I mean, I know I get scared when I hear Dusty B's coming to town. Start to hide my wallet and stuff.
So in that scene,
It's the one that says badass
Johnny-
mother trucker on it.
That's right.
Johnny and Mark show up on the roof and have to wrestle Chris R to the ground.
Yeah.
Take the gun away. He actually made them like fight him. He's like, if you guys are going to try to get this gun away from me and keep me from killing Denny, you're going to have to bring.
I don't know. Mark
bring
got
it.
that gun away from him pretty quick, though.
Well, he had his arm like pinned back and like yanked it out of his
Yeah.
hand. I mean, there is acting in it, but
I
like,
would have liked to have seen a cut scene or like a scene that they didn't use. Where after he gives the speech, like, look, you guys need to bring your A game and take this gun away from me, wrestle me to the ground. And just like the first take, he's just like, ow, ow, ow. Okay, all right,
Sorry.
all right, yeah, maybe not so much. That'd just be hilarious.
but yeah, Chris R is one of my favorites.
I thought that was funny.
I think my biggest question throughout
I think I know what you're gonna say.
this entire movie, I don't know.
The
It-
lawyer?
No.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the lawyer.
He was you mean the psychiatrist?
No, yes, I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
psychiatrist. Where
No.
it was like two different dudes.
I think the biggest question I had from beginning to end, why is this movie titled The Room? Is it The Room?
Because it took her an
where he-
hour and a half to sweep that room.
Yeah.
That room.
I mean,
I mean, do you want the Tommy Wiseau answer?
Yeah.
do you know it?
Do you know it?
Yeah.
yeah.
So
He-
the room symbolizes
What room exactly?
Johnny's house.
His house or a particular room in his house?
Um,
The
Really?
rooftop's
really,
not-
it's Johnny's house.
Okay.
But I'm guessing the living room of Johnny's house.
Okay.
Because it kind of goes back. If I can use an example, it's Claudette asking during the Mike hooks up with Michelle on the couch, and then Claudette comes in and is like, "Why are these people here?" And she's like, "They just want
Yeah.
to-"
Okay.
His room is like where everybody feels comfortable, like they can express themselves. He has like the spot that everybody, like everything is interconnected through his room.
Through that room.
Yeah,
Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
yeah.
But still, stupid
That's-
title.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a bad title.
I mean, if you guys could rename this movie,
Oh,
what would you guys rename it?
I don't know. Cheaters is a pretty good one. Or Cheater. I don't know. That's a bad.
Well,
that's
I
a
mean-
bad title. That's something I have to think of. See, sorry.
It's all good, man.
Every time it happens, it goes
It
out
gets
of my
it, yeah. See how he profiles.
Yeah. God. San Francisco love story. I don't know.
San Francisco.
If I was
Heartbreak.
going like, yeah. Whatever happened to
Whatever happened to the psychiatrist?
No, I was thinking Full House. Whatever
Oh, what
happened
happened to predictability? Was it the
Milkman,
Milkman and the Paperboy? The
and
evening TV. Because they showed a clip of twice.
So many establishing shots.
Dude, that's another thing that got me was after every scene, it was always like it was always like panning around the city. Either it was like Golden Gate Bridge going from this end to this end, or Golden Gate Bridge going from the other end to the other. You know what I mean? It was
or just
they always panned
Alcatraz.
it. Or Alcatraz, or like the city, or some palm
the
trees.
Disney store.
Yeah, the Disney store. What was up with him like walking around the city there at the end and like just boop out of nowhere? Like I don't get it.
You have to ask yourself, what was with about 95% of the scenes in that movie?
Yeah, like they were like, okay, so the one thing I didn't get was, okay, they were like, oh, you want to go running? Well, meet me at the park, blah, 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 and we'll go running. So here's a scene where they're running, they're throwing a football back and forth.
And then they start wrestling.
Then they start wrestling, and then
Right.
it's a scene that Mark is at
his
Johnny's
Johnny's
house,
apartment.
Johnny's apartment with his girl, and all of a sudden the scene cuts out, and they're back at the park.
Yeah, they're
again.
back running.
Yeah, they're running.
Yeah.
It's like, what? like he left him at the park and like turned around and went back and tried to do his girl, and then came back to the park. Like, is that what happened? Dude, I don't know. There's so many cutscenes where it's just cut.
Do you
so
have
bad.
a title for the movie?
I mean, if I could rename this movie anything,
Garbage, hot garbage.
Hot Garbage would be a great title. Yeah. I mean, I can't even think of
Instead of
a
the
title.
room, just call it the dumpster. 'Cause that's where it belongs.
Or call it Tearing Me Apart.
Yeah,
I think that'd
tearing
be
me
good.
apart. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. Sorry.
Or just call it Chris R is a badass.
Dude,
And watch the 5-minute scene with him, and that's all you need to watch.
he was the
Yeah.
only guy that, like you guys said, who brought it.
Yeah.
Only guy.
Everybody in this movie is so dry.
Checked out.
And like, yeah, just not in it at
Yeah.
all. Like they're just reading lines.
They're
That's it.
dehydrated, is what it looked like.
Yeah. They definitely were dehydrated.
The old lady, I definitely have cancer.
It's definitely breast cancer. Yeah. Does this ever come back? No. No, it doesn't.
And
Oh,
I'm
man.
dying.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You're not dying."
And I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That-
That's the
that's
name
the title.
of the movie.
That would be a good title.
I don't wanna talk
I don't
about
want
it.
to talk about it.
Dude, we should have did a shot every time she said, I don't want to talk about it.
Dude,
Oh, I
we'd
know.
be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have been drunk.
What made me mad is like anytime it was a scene with the character Lisa, she would start talking about something, and then as soon as the other person said anything back to her, she'd
I
be
don't
like,
wanna talk
"I
about
don't want to talk about it," and then like they would just leave.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll talk
Yeah.
about that later.
Let's.
It's like, I don't love Johnny anymore. Well, why? He's so good to you. Look,
I don't
wanna
want to talk about it. That's essentially that was 90% of her lines.
Yeah.
Was I don't want to talk about
That
it.
and like her making sex noises for
Like
the whole show.
literally, like I said, I think this movie it reminded me of like being a teenager watching like 90s
Skinamax.
softcore Showtime Red Shoe Diaries.
What's like,
If it showed just a little bit more ass, it would pass as like
her ass? Like it all shows Tommy's ass.
yeah. Like it. Yeah, I mean there was plenty of nudity in the movie. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
well, of Lisa.
of one chick.
Yeah.
Which I'm
Yeah.
not saying it was bad nudity, but I'm saying there was enough of it where it reminded me of, Red Shoe Diaries from the '90s with
Red
David
Shoe
Duchovny.
Diaries?
Yeah,
Is that like one of your favorites?
you don't remember Red Shoe Diaries?
Mm-mm.
You remember
I
Red Shoe
don't
Diaries
remember
from
Red Shoe
Showtime?
The name sounds familiar.
It was
but
like a
I
thir-
know, like Taxi Cab Confession.
It was like a 30-minute thing. It had David Duchovny in it. He was like a writer or something.
Softcore.
Isn't that Californication?
No, Californication may have been based off this, but it was like David Duchovny was like some kind of like an exotic writer, and like he would get these letters in from
Like
different
Penthouse
people.
letters?
Yeah, something like that. And then like he would like read them, and it would like play out. and it was all like fantasy, erotic stuff.
It was softcore porn.
Yeah, all
Oh, okay.
softcore. Yeah,
Okay.
but that's what it reminded me of.
Well, like the scenes like where they're having sex, like the one scene, like they started.
They're just incredibly
like
awkward.
moaning and stuff, and like there's nothing's going on. So why are they moaning already? You know
Well,
what I mean?
like they would like be kissing mouth to mouth,
Yeah,
or like mouth to body, where like you couldn't moan. It would be more like a,
yeah,
and you'd hear,
yeah.
and you'd hear like, ah,
You think he did the voiceovers for the moaning?
probably. And then like when it's Johnny, you'd hear him be like, he'd be like, it's like, oh my gosh,
He giggles a lot, dude.
Yeah.
he does.
There it is.
That's what it is.
You do it good, man. I can't do it.
But Neil, regardless, this movie, I see why so many people like it, because like I said, it's so terrible that it's good.
And you can just go back to it and keep going back to it and finding new
New
things.
stuff.
That are just like, what?
What?
Like,
I want somebody to cut the like. I want somebody to do a supercut of the movie and have it make sense.
I don't think that's possible.
You don't think that's
It-
possible?
There is actually a YouTube. Hold on a second.
If
Is it up there? Is someone who's
There's
done that?
There's a YouTube video that like dissects the movie
Yeah.
and talks about the themes and stuff. It's not bad.
I think
It's a
you
little
showed us
too
it, haven't
serious.
you?
No,
no,
no.
he
Okay.
showed us like the sin counter,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
which
that's
is
right.
like way up there.
Yeah. Like that's what someone should do. Just kind of supercut it so it makes sense. I don't know where you're gonna throw the tuxedo.
You
scene
couldn't
at.
really supercut it to make it make sense,
Yeah,
but you could shorten it and take out all the bull crap
yeah.
and make
It'd be
it
like a 10-minute movie.
Yeah, you'd have a 10-minute movie, and it'd probably be better than the original. I may do that in my free time.
You should do it.
I'm gonna recut the room and make it about 10 minutes long. And
Call
that-
it
and
the
that's it.
shack.
Yeah.
Because that fucking. Excuse me. Sorry.
okay,
That
I-
shack that's on the roof, man. That thing kills me.
Oh yeah,
'Cause
that was another thing too.
There's no steps to it. They all just go in the
Yeah.
shack when the scene's over with.
Or just
when they're on
come
the
out
roof.
of it.
Or just
Yeah.
come out of it. They're like, oh, we'll go down the steps. And
Eight-
like they turn and there's nothing there.
8 people on the roof, all of them came up same time
Yeah.
through one door.
Yeah. Or
With-
the Chris R scene where everybody magically just
Yeah,
appears on the roof.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Huh. I don't know, man. What's another good scene that didn't make sense? The scene where they were fighting at his birthday party, where they got in like a little tussle.
Yeah, it was like the same scene back to back.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
noticed that too?
Yeah, they got in a tussle. All right, Johnny walks outside, and then like he walks back in, and then Mark.
It's
and-
literally like the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
What's your problem, Mark?
Yeah,
You're going to be my wife, Lisa.
my future wife, Lisa.
Yeah. It's the same scene twice. He even like pushes him and he falls down. It's
Yeah.
the same scene.
Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, let's go outside." What does it say? Let's go outside for some cake or
Let's
fresh
go.
air.
Let's go outside and get some fresh air.
Yeah. Then they start talking to her about stuff. She's like, "I don't want to
wanna
talk about it. Y'all want to
Yeah.
go outside and get some cake?"
Yeah.
They already ate cake. They were like, the dude was over there shoving his face full of cake.
Yeah. Giving that real creepy vibe, like.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then Denny in the movie, where he was like, "What was up with the scene where he's like, man, I really think I like Lisa.
I think I'm in love with her.
I think I'm in love with her." And Johnny's just like,
It's okay.
"Keep going, it's okay."
I trust you,
Yeah.
and I trust her.
Yeah, like that makes no sense.
And then, like the very next scene, he's like, "I think she's cheating on me."
Yeah.
Like what? The movie just
I don't know, man.
it makes
Yeah.
zero sense, and I don't think it's. I think his heart was in the right place when he wrote the movie, and directed the movie, and produced the movie, and starred in the
I want to see
movie.
the script of it.
Oh yeah.
I
Like,
bet-
wouldn't that be
I
cool?
bet it's
Yeah.
crazy.
How on the fly? Sorry to cut you off. On
You're
the
okay.
fly, how much do you think that maybe changed just on the fly? Because it seems like with him, it would just change on the fly.
No, he stuck to his script.
He stuck to the script.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we've all seen The Disaster Artist too. We
Yeah.
know how many times he did the whole.
Oh yeah.
I did
Oh,
not
hi,
hit
Mark.
her. It's bullshit. I did not. I
Yeah.
did not. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. Yeah.
That's another thing. How did he hear about people saying that he hit her? Like I never caught that.
Yeah. Never explained.
It,
Yeah.
it goes from the scene where she tells her mom that he got drunk and hit her, and there was like another like mid scene in there somewhere that was made absolutely no sense, and then it just shows up him being like, "I did not hit her."
Yeah.
You know.
And he said
Who
it like
told
2
him?
other times too. Like, I
Yeah.
did not hit her. It's like, what?
It's like someone walked up to him and was like, "Hey, I heard you hit your girlfriend." He's
Yeah.
like, "I need to go up to the roof and think about this."
Throw my water bottle down. And talk to my buddy Mark. Maybe he's up there.
Oh man, what, dude? I can't. Every scene I keep thinking of, it's like, none of this makes sense. Like, I don't get it.
No. Like I said, about 90% of that movie did not make any sense. There were scenes that were just totally not needed.
Oh, like
And
the scene.
One thing that you mentioned that you thought I was going to talk about was it Peter?
Yeah.
The
The
psychiatrist?
psychiatrist, yeah.
Apparently in real life, the guy just up and left and was like, I'm done with this movie.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't done shooting. So they just brought some other dude in to take. It didn't look like him, didn't sound like him, didn't have his haircut like him, didn't dress like
They
him.
didn't even give us a warning. They're
Did-
just like, this dude just pops up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and this was like the third or fourth time me and Dusty looked at each other and was like, who the hell is this guy? You know? There's character introduction beyond the first 10 minutes of the movie is just so random.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why is this person here?
Yeah.
What relevance do they have in the story? And then one thing that I wanted to ask you, because I had said something about it, I don't want to say the first scene that I was like, what relevance does this have? Is when the creepy dude and the girl are about to get it on in the room.
Yeah.
And I was like, I looked at you and I was like, what, does this come back later in the story? And you were
Yeah.
like, yeah, it does. When did that come back in the story?
When Mike tells the story about him finding his underwear.
oh, okay.
Yeah, in
Okay.
the alley.
But, I mean, that really doesn't.
That's better than the cancer. The cancer
Yeah.
never comes back.
Well, that's a good
true.
thing. It never came back. I thought it was funny because the dude was like, man, I got a conundrum. He's like, what? He's like, man, we were doing stuff, and then her mom
he's just
saw
like-
my boxers.
The whole time. Uh-huh.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Then he falls into garbage cans, and that's it. You don't see him until he's like shoving his face full of cake. So stupid, man. The whole scene, like you said, the Chris R scene, and then like they wrestle the gun away from him, and Chris is like, they take him off, and
Yeah.
then like all of a sudden they're all like,
Lisa and her mom are just all of a sudden like, what's happening?
yeah, and like Lisa's so upset, like she's crying and hugging him. Like I get like the vibe of like that Lisa is like his sister. Like for some reason, like if I would have came in on that scene, like I would have thought like, okay, well that's his sister and that's his
Yeah.
mom, and they're all upset because he's doing drugs. But no, that's not it at all. He's a random dude.
She's and her mom had only met this kid like for like half a second.
When
Yeah.
he came in to borrow a cup of sugar.
And she was
a cup
totally
of
rude to
flour.
him.
Yeah.
Does that kid not have a kitchen? Like obviously he does. He needs ingredients.
And then like a couple scenes later, she's like, "Oh my God, this poor boy! Why is this Why is this happening to him?"
They're fake crying. Just
What did you
set
need
it
money
off.
for?
Yeah.
Like, it's money.
Yeah.
Do we not know what money's for?
We all need money. But really, what did he need money for? Because
Johnny's
Johnny's
paying for
paying
his
his
apartment
rent, yeah,
and his school.
and paying for everything
I bought
probably.
some drugs. Well, like, and she was like, "Well, why did you need the money for?" It's like, duh.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Didn't he cop a
Yeah.
Lisa in that scene? I don't want to talk about it. Terrible.
Is that kid? Was that a wig he was wearing, or was that his actual hair?
I think it's his actual hair.
I feel sorry for that
Oh,
kid.
man.
Yeah. It was
That-
like a receding hairline.
That young man who plays a 18-year-old. It's terrible. So
So what about the disaster artist?
now, I hate to say this because as much of a movie connoisseur as I would like to consider myself, prior to tonight, I had never seen The Room.
Right.
I'd never seen it. I'd heard of it.
Which surprises the heck out of me.
Yeah. I'd heard of it. I've watched clips of it. I've watched other people review it and talk about it online. But I've never actually sat down and watched the actual movie. Now, my original plan was I'm going to watch The Room and then I'm going to go see The Disaster Artist. Well, that didn't happen. I saw The Disaster Artist first. And what I loved more than anything, more than the whole story of the movie, any of the acting, any of the funny parts in it, was at the end when they did the side-by-side. They showed the Room clip and then they showed the new cast with the Disaster Artist cast acting out the same scene.
Right.
And
They're
I'll-
reenactments.
Their reenactments. And the scenes that they were doing side by side were a lot of the same clips that I had already seen online. So I knew what the scenes were.
Right.
And it was good to see the side by side reenactments.
They were really, really good.
They were really good.
Yeah.
Like almost perfect.
Even like the cover, because like the poster,
Like the movie poster, yeah.
The movie poster was like bam, bam, like the head side to side. Was that you that, or was that you that posted that? Yeah. So like that, even the movie poster was really, really good.
Yeah.
Even Frank even had like the lazy eye that he has. like,
Yeah.
on
And
the
that little
cover.
smirk that.
The droopy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cold steel.
Get it.
Yeah. Blue steel.
Blue steel, yeah, sorry.
Or in this case, the room steel.
Steel.
But as far as the Disaster Artist goes, I think now that I've seen The Room in its entirety, I think the Disaster Artist
Explained a lot.
explained a lot
Yeah.
about not so much like why the movie didn't make any sense, but it definitely explained to me why it doesn't make sense. Because when you watch The Room and you're like, okay, this doesn't make any sense, and then you watch the Disaster Artist, you're like, oh, okay, I understand now
Yeah.
why it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Look at these idiots. You know, what are they doing?
Would you just look at this?
Yeah, would you just look at these idiots?
I don't know, man. I like the Disaster Artist. I mean,
I liked it too.
Yeah, I
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I like the Disaster Artist. I think more just because it was a Franco and Seth Rogen type, you know, and it had other good actors. It had Zac Efron and it had your boy.
There
in it.
wasn't
Yeah,
really
my boy.
anybody.
Oh,
As far as
gosh.
cameos?
Nathan Fielder from Nathan For You, Comedy Central show. He
Okay.
played the Peter part.
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis.
Did they
Oh, not
address?
Zach Galifianakis.
Did they address the obvious actor change in the Disaster Artist? I don't
Yeah.
remember.
They didn't.
I don't think so.
I don't
would
think
have
they brought
remembered
up
that.
the replacement guy.
I think they should have just to throw it in there,
Just to be like, who
and
the
not
heck's this guy?
and not explain it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But make it obvious, like that's who he is.
Yeah.
But how did you know? Because that, like, how did you know that was like the different guy? Like to me,
I read the book for the Disaster Artist.
Okay,
too.
so oh shoot, there's a book too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The
There's
book was-
boxers underwear. Like what the heck?
Well, the book is written by Greg Sestero.
Okay.
Mark.
Who
Mark.
plays Mark?
Johnny or Tommy would have never told the truth about what happened
Ah.
because he doesn't tell the truth about anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, because I'm your age.
yeah. But yeah, Nathan Fielder, Paul Scheer, Seth Rogen.
Didn't Tommy even go on to say like the book is about 40% true?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think he says more. It's more like 70 or something like that.
But they're still good friends, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They made another movie together called Best Friends with the R's in like parentheses, where Greg is a
So it's like
drifter.
best fiends.
Yeah. Greg's a drifter. Hold on, let me get you the premise.
Wait, hold on. Before you get to the premise, though, they made another movie.
Yeah.
Have you seen this
No.
other movie? Somebody, well, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say somebody let this guy make another movie because he made it all on his own.
Did he edit this movie too?
I don't know. Tommy didn't direct it.
Okay.
It's just Tommy and Mark.
Did he
together.
write it? Or just star
No,
in it?
Or
just star-
did
just
Mark
star.
do it all?
Okay. As long as they just starred in it, the movie might have a little bit of hope.
Right.
Man.
Greg Sestero. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Greg.
Yeah, I was saying
Did-
Mark
did-
too.
Did Greg write it and
I
direct
don't
it?
think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So they're in another movie.
Yeah,
Wow.
Greg's a drifter, and Tommy works at a funeral home, like fixing up dead bodies for layouts and
I
stuff.
could see that.
And
Fucking
Greg,
vampire.
yeah, he picks Greg up like in a hearse, and they start like becoming friends. But like, there's like a weird scene where like Tommy's putting Vaseline on like his face. It's weird. It looks pretty creepy actually.
Like a wax museum
Yeah,
kind of
kind of a
wax?
thing,
Or KY jelly-ish stuff?
Butler.
Shine shoes? Wow.
Yeah.
Now, back to the Disaster Artist here. Now that I've seen The Room, and I've already seen the Disaster Artist, I can honestly say this is probably the most accurate depiction of another, like a real person, that I think I've ever seen. I think James Franco crushed it.
He deserved that. What was it? An Academy Award?
No, Golden
Golden
Globe.
Globe.
Yeah. So
He
deserved
probably
it.
won't win anything at the Oscars
No.
after what happened.
No, probably
No.
not. Unfortunately.
But definitely, probably the best portrayal of another living person, like a real person, that I've ever seen in a movie. Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't know if you guys are going to agree with me on this. I think he probably did a better job than Jim Carrey and Andy Kaufman.
Ooh. That's rough.
That's a tough one.
They made a documentary about Jim Carrey playing Andy Kaufman.
I know.
Have you watched that?
Not the documentary.
I've watched the
I
documentary.
haven't watched either.
A lot of dude. Yeah, I mean, he was in character on
Like
and off
24/7,
scene.
didn't
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like 24/7,
It was like Heath
was
Ledger as
crazy.
the Joker, pretty much.
kind of. Yeah,
Yeah.
It
Or
was
Jared
crazy.
Leto as the Joker.
Jared Leto's a joker. Let's
Jared
just
Leto
face
as the
it,
Joker
so-
is just so bad. That movie is so awful. You know he's the Joker again, right?
No.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's going to be the Joker again.
In what movie?
I don't know. They're already filming it, supposedly.
DC just needs to stop making movies.
Yeah.
Well, but, you know, we're not
Wonder
here.
Woman.
We're not here to
Yeah.
talk about DC. We're here to talk about The Room and The Disaster Artist.
So, if you were sitting down and two DVDs are laid in front of you, one's The Disaster Artist and one's The Room, which one are you going to watch?
Oh, I'd watch The Disaster Artist
Again.
before I watch The Room.
Would you watch The Room again?
You know what? If Kentucky legalizes marijuana, I will watch The Room again.
As many, like, more than once.
It'll be like, oh, time to get high and watch The Room.
Then you'd forget it. You'd be like, oh man, I thought they already played this scene.
It would probably make more sense.
It probably would.
It would probably make a lot more sense.
What about you, Tim?
I love The Room. I love it. So, but
You
I
love the
love the
Chris R.
disaster.
scene.
I love so many of the scenes. You know what's great for me, to me about The Room, is that
Well, you know what's great about The Room.
Tommy is like this strange loner guy who didn't, you know, if he was anywhere else, if he wasn't wealthy, I guess, because we don't really know how much money he has, but I don't know. There's something about that dream coming true that, like, is endearing to me. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Even though, like, he doesn't really seem like he, like, if I knew Tommy in real life, I probably wouldn't like him that much. But, like, Greg really sticks in there with him and helped him, like, realize his dream, and to the point where he went on made another movie with him. He, like, kind of hitched his cart to his wagon, you know?
Hitched his cart to his wagon.
He dipped his pen in his ink, bro.
Yeah. Hitched his wagon.
You think he's
to-
totally glad he dipped his pen in his ink?
Yeah, I bet he's so glad he did.
I just don't want to talk about it.
I understand.
What do you mean?
Stealing a line from Lisa.
Oh,
I just don't want to talk about it.
Oh yeah, I just don't want to.
Oh, here's another one. Look, don't worry about it.
Everything's going to be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry about
Yeah, don't worry about it. You know what? I don't want to talk about it. Don't worry about it.
it.
Everything's going to be okay.
For me, it'd be The Disaster Artist for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like The Room. I'd watch The Room again, like you said, just to catch other stuff that
Yeah.
I didn't watch the first time. But the movie is pretty long for being for a movie that doesn't make sense, or maybe it just seemed that long.
Hour and 43 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I think the next way we watch it should be in theaters.
Watch
Oh,
The
Like
man.
Room.
That'd be
with like
cool.
an actual screening of the movie.
Well, we already messed that up. We missed it
Yeah.
January 10th.
Well, but that was just showing out of theater. I'm talking about a legit screening.
Where like
Like
a
where, like,
room
all the
full of
fans
people.
go. Oh.
Yeah.
Gotta bring her spoons.
Yeah.
I still don't get the whole spoon thing.
Well, it's like he said, like all the pictures in Tommy's house or Johnny's house was all just of spoons.
Yeah.
Like every picture, like the ones on the wall and the ones on the table, were just pictures of spoons. So everybody just brings spoons, I guess. Like what I think Tim said the story a couple weeks ago. Like they just bring spoons because that's what they saw. Don't think you said
They throw them at the screen. Yeah.
That's just rude. I'm sorry.
I just don't waste some good spoons, bro.
I know, right?
That's a heroin addict's dream right there. All these spoons, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Why you waste all the good spoons, man? Hey, after the show, I'll clean all that up for you for $2. Get all
Or a
them
scrapper.
spoons.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I like, the disaster artist is good. I kind of wish I saw The Room for the disaster artist, just because there are so many funny scenes in the disaster artist that explain. Like,
I think if
that
we
would
went back
explain
and
it
watched
well.
The Disaster Artist again, we'd be
You'd
like,
notice more stuff.
okay, yeah.
The belly button, like, what, does he know where her vagina is?
Yeah.
Or like his butt is in the air, and they're all like, ugh. They're all trying not to look.
His ass did not sell that movie.
Your
No.
ass didn't sell this podcast either.
No. I mean, if me showing my ass is going to sell this podcast, I'll do it. I ain't scared. But I don't think that's going to happen.
No. Sorry,
Yeah.
folks.
No. Yeah, I just don't want to talk about it.
So, disaster artist, watch it or squash it.
I would recommend The Disaster Artist after The Room. Well, I mean, even before. I mean, because you get the backstory and then you get to see the final product. Disaster Artist, definitely watch it.
Yeah. Watch Disaster Artist.
Yeah.
My thing is, I think you have to go through the bad to get to the good.
Yeah.
So you watch the bad, then you're like, oh, that was so bad. Do I really want to watch the Disaster Artist? Like, yeah, you do. It's actually good.
See,
You know what
I
I mean?
have fun watching The Room. Like, we
all
yeah.
know why you like to watch The Room.
Yes.
That's
But, you knew like every line, and it was kind of funny. Like, he's
how many times
seen this movie a lot.
do you
I
think
mean, yeah.
you've seen The Room, Tim?
probably 15 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's
You're tearing me apart, Tim.
that's like that's almost an entire day's worth
Yeah, of the roomage.
of watching that movie. I don't know if I could handle that.
I think I could probably
I
watch
think
The
I'd-
Room one more time, and I'm like, I'm good. I don't have to watch it again.
I think if I had to watch it for an entire day straight, I'd end up pulling a Johnny
yeah.
and just blowing my brains out.
That scene, that's another scene, man, where he's laying there dead and everybody's all crying. And Mark-
Everybody rushes in. Oh my God, is he dead?
Yeah, yeah.
Is he dead?
Call 911.
And you
Yeah.
already hear sirens on their way. It's
Yeah.
like, what? I don't know, man. And then like she's like, oh, we could be together now, and she's like, go away, slut, or something like
And
that.
then like the scene before, he was like, "Come up here, I want your body."
Oh, dude, the whole
Just moments before.
yeah,
Yeah.
just moments
She
before.
leaves to go be with Mark, and that's when Johnny trashes the place, kills himself. Spoilers. And then they rush down together to find him dead.
Yeah.
You slut! You killed him.
You
Well, what did you
never
think was gonna
had
happen?
me.
Exactly. Yeah, you never had me.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, let's go down there
I
together.
don't love you.
Yeah. That whole scene was just, oh man, the whole movie. There was another funny thing about the scene I was gonna say. Oh, I can't remember, but when Denny came running in, he was like, "What'd you guys do?
That
Is he
kid
dead?"
was just super creepy.
Yeah.
Like in the opening scene of the movie, he
Well,
comes
walked
in.
upstairs.
Yeah, and like they're like, "We're gonna go upstairs and take a nap," and he was just like, "Oh, okay."
He stands in their like living room and like lazily bites an apple while he's like looking up at the upstairs.
Right, and then he
And then he's
creeps
just,
up
like,
there
creeps up there.
and then joins in like their very
fight.
erotic pillow fight.
Yeah. And then he started tickling him,
And-
which made it even weirder.
And then he even says like, "I just want to watch you guys."
Two's company, but three's a crowd, Denny.
Yeah.
He sounds just like him.
and then he just like he leaves and then intro to first Red Shoe Diaries sex
Yeah,
scene.
that's literally 8 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
And nobody gets up to like go, okay, is Denny like for real gone right
Yeah,
now?
Yeah.
He's
He-
down there listening.
Even as he like creepily just like walks down the stairs and stares at him the whole time.
he's
like-
he's in the room on the couch downstairs just listening, like
Probably.
so bad.
I don't know. What do you think, man?
I
Watch
think
it?
they're both watchable. Watch it movies.
Right.
Yeah,
What-
but I would go The
what-
Room then The Disaster Artist.
Okay. I think you could go either way.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
Yeah, you
I
go through the
definitely
bad.
enjoyed The Disaster Artist, and then knowing what The Room, what I was going to be getting into when watching The Room, it made me like flashback to the Disaster Artist, like, oh yeah, I remember how they made this scene.
Yeah.
But I think you could do that either way. You know,
Right.
You could watch the
Because
Room
I think if
and
you
then-
watch The Disaster Artist, you'll want to watch The Room again afterwards.
Right.
You know, to watch those scenes with a new perspective. So I guess you could do the Disaster Artist first, but that gives you almost too much backstory. You know, like
Right.
I think it's better to have.
But think about
Yeah.
this for a second, though,
Okay.
okay? If you watch The Room first, and you didn't even know about the Disaster Artist, and you just watch The Room, and you're just like, seriously? Like, what did I just waste an hour and 43 minutes of my time on? And
See-
then you find out there's a movie about that movie. You're kind of like, oh, that explains a lot.
Yeah, I love terrible movies though, so I went into The Room knowing what it was going to be.
You do. You like Jumanji.
Yeah.
No, he
No, I'm just
at the
kidding.
end
Yeah,
of
I'm
it,
just
he
kidding.
was,
He was like, okay, that is bad.
yeah.
But no, there's another movie we should watch sometime called Miami Connection. The Miami Connection.
Is it like on the same
Oh yeah,
of like bad
it
movie?
is just as bad.
What
good.
about the Dallas Connection? That was another like Showtime skin flick.
Oh no, I never saw
Yeah.
that.
Then
You
there
know
was
a lot
funny you
about
know
this.
these,
and then,
man.
and then there was like the French Connection,
Yeah.
which I think was just like an action movie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you know all these?
Because, buddy, let me tell you something. During the 90s,
Yeah.
that's what I did. I stayed up late. I drank soda straight out of a 2-liter.
Surge, right?
Or 3
Or
liter.
whatever I could get my hands on.
Yeah, Faygo.
Whatever had caffeine in it. Faygo's caffeine free.
Right.
And I just stayed up and I watched.
Fago's caffeine free?
You didn't know
How
that?
unjuggalo is that?
It's cheap.
Oh, is that why it's cheap?
Probably.
Yeah.
Caffeine's
Okay.
expensive, bro.
All right.
If you want caffeine, you got to pay for that.
Well, how do they powerbomb other truckers into thumbtacks if they're not drinking caffeine?
It's because they smoke meth.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I mean that's all I did throughout the 90s was like stay up late as I possibly could,
Mhm.
6 inches from the TV screen, watching whatever was on TV. And let's face it, after 2 a.m., all the movie
Yeah.
channels play nothing but skin flicks.
Yeah, my buddy growing up had all the channels, and we would go down there and watch them. It just brings me back every time you say like I'm sure every time you say the name of these, like I'm sure I watched them. I just
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
the name. You know what I mean? All the softcore stuff. It's like
Oh yeah,
See, for me, it was Tales from the Crypt.
I watched a lot of that too.
yeah.
USA Up All Night. That's where I've seen a lot of them.
Oh yeah, the MTV like after dark shows like
Undressed.
Undressed. Yeah.
See,
I
I never-
remember Undressed.
I never did watch
it
a
was
lot of the
terrible,
MTV
but
shows.
at
was
the
so
same time,
bad.
you're like,
It was acting on the room level, pretty much.
yeah,
It was that bad.
I
yeah.
think I'll have to pass on an entire series
They can't. You know
of bad
they
acting.
brought it back. Did you know that? Like a
No.
couple of years ago, they brought it back, but
Ugh.
it didn't.
It was bad back then because you'd stay up like you're like you're going to see like at least like some passionate
Yeah,
like something to get you
yeah.
going and like nothing ever
They
happened
cut.
on that freaking show.
It was MTV,
Like the only thing
man.
that happened was like a chick would like eat ice and go down on a dude.
Yeah.
That was it. It's like really, that's it. I don't know. What's another bad show that was on late?
Oh,
That was
man.
like that. Undressed. I just remember that.
I used to like Elvira.
Elvira.
Mistress of the Dark.
Yeah,
Did you ever watch the USA Up All Night? With
I
Gi-
probably did.
There was
yeah.
Gilbert Godfrey,
Yes,
and then
yeah.
there was another girl that did it. And whenever the girl did it, it was always like skin flicks, but they'd like
Yeah.
edit out all the sex and the nudity and stuff, and it was pretty much like watching The Room because it
Yeah.
didn't make any sense, you know. But when like Gilbert Godfrey would do it, it'd always be like like scary movies or like action movies or something
Gilbert
like that.
Godfrey, the dude with the annoying voice.
Yeah,
the guy who was
Guy who played the parrot. in
Parrot
Aladdin.
and Aladdin.
that's
yeah.
him, yeah.
And the Affleck duck.
Did you guys ever watch?
Oh, he does the Affleck duck.
He did the Affleck duck.
Yeah,
Oh,
they,
really?
they booted him.
Why'd they boot him?
Because he made a comment about the Japanese tsunami or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You guys ever watch Joe Bob Briggs and Monster Vision?
That sounds so
TNT?
familiar.
Mhm.
You
Joe
know,
Bob Riggs sounds.
have you ever seen Casino?
Yeah.
You know the cousin who keeps messing up?
Yes.
That's Joe Bob
The
Briggs.
cowboy guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the guy who hosted that. That's Joe Bob
He
Briggs.
beats him up in the
Yeah.
phone booth.
Something like that, yeah.
Joe Pesci does. Yeah.
Pesci, remember.
We got way off track.
Yeah.
We have, but it's cool.
Yeah. So overall, though, no matter what order you see The Room or The Disaster Artist in, I think you're going to have a good time. I mean, if you can suffer through The Room
To get to the disaster.
to get to the
artist.
Disaster Artist,
Yeah.
I think you might be better off doing that.
But you know in advance that even if you watch The Room first, you know that there's a whole nother movie that is based solely on the production of this movie and how it got made.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that should alone give it enough credit for one single watch.
At least one single watch.
Yeah.
Or go The Room, Disaster Artist, The Room again.
Right.
Or Disaster Artist,
The
Room,
Room, disaster.
Disaster Artist again.
Yeah.
You know,
I like that one better.
either way. Yeah,
I
because
can't sit
at
through
least
two
you
rooms, man.
at least you get to watch a good movie twice that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right.
I think that pretty much wraps us up on that.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? What else can be said? I mean, I really don't want to talk about it. You know,
I don't want to talk about it.
no. Catch us next time, folks. We're going to be reviewing the brand new movie Den of Thieves.
Yes.
Comes out
Tomorrow.
tomorrow, which is
Yes.
January 19th.
19th, yes.
So be sure to keep a heads up on that if you guys are listening or watching on Facebook or YouTube
Gerard
or wherever you're watching.
Butler, and it's
Gerard
got
Butler,
a little cube in it.
Yeah. Crushed or Ice
Crust
Nugget.
Cube.
Ice Nugget.
Yeah. It's got Ice Cube's son in it.
50 Cent.
Yeah.
And
I don't know anybody else is
that's
in it. Yeah.
The trailers look good. The little clips they've been showing looks good. And it's a heist movie. Who doesn't love a good heist movie?
Dude, I love heist movies. They're
Me
one
too.
of my favorite.
Me too. So we're probably going to see that sometime over the weekend when we're going to hit you up. Maybe over the weekend or one day next week. But be on the lookout for that. Go to k1hbb.com. Check out all the other podcasts that we do. Yeah, that's about it. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram.
Subscribe on YouTube.
Subscribe on YouTube. I think we have 2 subscribers now. One is Dusty B. I don't know who the other one is, but thank you, whoever you are. Yeah, pretty much. That's a wrap, folks. We're done.
See it.
See ya.
Bye.